What's up, y'all? This is Dumbfounded, host of the Fun with Dumb podcast, and I'm here to announce the launch of our Patreon. It's been 5 years since we've been doing the podcast, and we've never done a Patreon. And if you've been looking for a way to support the Fun with Dumb community, this is it. We're going to give you direct access to the Fun with Dumb Discord, where I'm going to talk to the community and see what kind of content you guys want to see moving forward. We're also going to have behind-the-scenes footage with our guests that's never before seen, monthly bonus content. We're creating new segments like Wisdom, where I'm actually taking calls from you guys, talking to you guys, giving you advice, all of that good stuff, as well as exclusive access to Fun with Dumb merch and live events. If you guys don't know, I throw tons of live events in Los Angeles and planning to tour this show on the road all around the world. So stay tuned for all of that, and please support by joining our Patreon right now. There's a $5 tier and a $10 tier. I really want to build this community out, so any support will be appreciated. Thank you to all the Fun with Dumb listeners over the years. All the information is in the description below. What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fun with Dumb. Today, we have a very special guest, one of my youngs, big bros, been in the industry and the entertainment world for so long, and in one of the most successful franchises of all time, which is Fast and Furious. Today, we have Sung Kang in the building. How you doing, sir?
Good, Dom. Thanks for having me.
I'm
Great
sorry.
intro. Thank you.
I had to give the grand intro. I appreciate you coming to K-Town to visit me from the depths of California. You're in the cuts, I feel.
No, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you. We've hung out a few times. Like I think like a year or two ago, I met you up about a project you wanted to speak to me about.
For you to star in.
Yeah.
I was directing.
You wanted
Well,
to
I was
direct.
thinking about directing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're thinking about directing. You wanted me to like star in it as a lead, which was exciting. I didn't expect a call from you at all. Went to go meet you, and it was like, that was the first time we've actually sat down and had like a really long conversation. But I saw you, I pull up to this like restaurant. You're like sitting, leaning back, eating like tortilla chips. And I was like, this really feels like Han from Fast and the Furious. I'm meeting him up. That was really cool. And then you talking about like directing films. Was that around the time you were first kind of thinking about directing? How did you get to that place about?
I just felt so frustrated, as an actor. Like, the opportunities that I felt like I had at the time was not something that, I came to Hollywood for, right? And I was like, did I hit a ceiling? And maybe, is it not my time? Or maybe, just where's my place within the food chain of Hollywood? And I was like, well, instead of complaining about it, be proactive, and maybe it's time to not, worry about yourself, and maybe create opportunities
Mm,
and create projects for other actors. Because I'd love to, if I'd love to, expand my resume as an actor, but do I just wait for the phone call that never happens, right? So
mm,
I felt like, okay, let me see if I can be as passionate about directing as acting. And that's when I was like, let me give it a shot. Let me also maybe possibly start with a movie that I didn't write, right? That I didn't pour my soul into,
mm.
and see if I could be passionate about the art of directing. Um, or is it just the fad? Is it just me going, well, because these other opportunities aren't coming as an actor, maybe I just need to kill time, right?
Mm.
So, and because there's, it's show business. There's a lot of money, even if it's a small independent movie. There's resources that are, invested into these things. So, do I want to, waste people's like money as well,
Yeah.
right? And people's time, right? So, it was that really that start of like, okay, if it's not my time as an actor, how can I still be part of like the Hollywood game? And
Yeah.
is it behind the camera? And is it giving other Asian Americans, especially men, opportunities that for three-dimensional roles that I so yearn to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's when we met. There was a producer I worked with in the past, and a couple of writers that I knew, and they had this project that was, you know, kind of in the oven. It wasn't financed or anything, and
Yeah, but
you
it
know,
tackled topics of like invisibility as a people, and Asian male masculinity and that kind of territory, which was interesting. I feel,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I was just kind of taking a step back when you were talking about certain roles and opportunities that you yearn for that maybe haven't come your way. Like, what kind of stuff are we talking about? Like, what kind of stuff would you have wanted to do maybe that you didn't see many opportunities coming your way?
Well, I mean, a perfect example is like what, Beef did,
Mm,
right? The range of emotions and scenarios and situations like that show is like super inspiring for me, even at like my age. It's like, wow, look at these opportunities these, men and women are having on screen,
yeah,
right? And they're not there for an Asian reason. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
not like, oh, we're playing a Korean storyline, so they have to be Korean or Korean American. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's just like they could literally be any nationality, right? Or ethnicity, any sex. And I was like, that is it. Those are the kind of roles that I yearn for,
Mm,
right? So, and I'm so happy that they're finally being recognized and these opportunities are here for actresses like Ali and, Steve and,
yeah.
and,
I mean,
um,
interestingly, with Beef, it's about road rage and Han, no pun
yeah,
intended,
right.
the
Yeah.
internalized rage
Yeah.
that you might hold on, which is interesting with that choice, I guess, with the name Han too.
Mm.
Because you seems like such a chill person. That I don't necessarily sense an internalized rage. Are you an angry person in any way?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm Korean, so it's like, exploring even the definition of what Han means to Koreans, fellow Koreans.
Yeah.
I think I have a good grasp of it because I was in Korea this past year and I spent some time there and I went there with this this exploration of why are Koreans unique compared to other Asians, Chinese, Taiwanese, Korean, Japanese, right? Um, Thai, Indonesians, right? It's like why are they so unique, right? And it felt like there was a couple of things, right? And the first and most prominent thing was this notion of Han, this idea of Han, which is very hard to translate,
Right.
right? And it is this like, you know, like this sense of sorrow, this anger, or this frustration. But on the flip side, the positive of it is that's what fuels us
Hmm.
to excel, to go, all right, you can put me down, you can, you can belittle me, you can take over the country, but we'll show you,
Yeah.
right? I'll show you. Like we will even show you as a country eventually. And it's something that, I feel like the Han has helped me in my life because as an actor, especially in this country and my generation, every day you're told you're not good enough, that you're
Right.
never gonna make it. Like you gonna be an actor? Like, are you
Yeah.
freaking out of your mind? Like, so that there's that sense of like, okay, now I'm pissed off. Like, I'll show you. There's this sense of revenge or anger, but it's like that kojebi, that stubbornness to go, okay, well, I'm gonna show everybody that I can become something,
It's
right?
almost like Han is needed to survive in the entertainment industry.
Mm-mm.
It's like every day there's rejection, tons of auditions
Yeah.
and expectations of things. And I agree. I feel like it's helped me going. It's helped me kept going on in this entertainment industry, and I think that's probably why revenge movies are so big and prominent in Korean culture.
Yeah.
The Old Boys and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and I don't know. There just seems like a lot of Han themed stuff. But that name wasn't given to you necessarily based off of that, right? Like
No, I
from
don't think
Justin Lin.
anyone even knew what it meant. It was so Han came from, you know, Better Luck Tomorrow pretty
Mm-hmm.
much, right? And then when Justin and the other writers were writing Better Luck Tomorrow, I think one of their roommates in college was named Han. I actually met him, and I think he worked in like computer science or something,
Yeah.
right? So, and his name was Han. He was Korean, and he had this kind of, this, I guess, I call it like the K-Town swagger,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like when I met dudes in from LA that grew up in K-Town or Northridge, it was a different swagger than I had because I came from the South, from Georgia, right? So
Different cadence of the way you talk
yeah,
and
and it's
everything.
and a different sense of assuredness. Like
Mm,
they're like you. It felt like they knew that they weren't alone because there were
right.
other Koreans in high school or
Exactly.
in junior high that would have your back, right? Where most of the time I was like the only dude, right? Even the only Asian
Yeah.
um, in the school or in the neighborhood. So nobody had your back. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So
mm.
it was this kind of cool, like you know, like 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 cadence, man. It was like I liked it. I was like, where'd they get that?
So you're trying
You
to
know?
capture that confidence and that energy of like having a community behind your back
Yeah,
and not being a
yeah.
fish out of water.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, you can go if you have, sense of community and family, and that there's people that will always come to your rescue. You can walk into any situation with your shoulders back and not have to like make excuses for yourselves, right?
Mm,
And that's something that I struggled probably until like last year to feel like to have that like 2 feet on the ground to go like I do have a sense of community. I can be proud.
yeah.
I don't know where I was from, man. So I didn't grow up in Korea. In America, I always felt like, hey, do you belong here? Right? Are you truly accepted? And then, it's like Asian America is such a broad, like general definition. It's like, am I accepted by them? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Right? And, going back to Korea this past year, dude, I came back like with this amazing sense of pride.
This episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. Have you guys found it to be a hassle to find a good doctor? Sometimes I've gotten sick and I had to rough through it probably longer than I had to because I want to avoid finding a doctor near me, calling them, see if the insurance is in a network. The whole thing is a hassle. It's so crazy that you can find a restaurant nearby that has high reviews, go through their reviews, get a reservation within minutes. But when it comes to a doctor, it has to be such a hassle. Well, you don't have to deal with that anymore because there's ZocDoc. ZocDoc has thousands of top-rated doctors, and also they're listed with verified patient reviews, so you can find and book a doctor who not only has years of experience and an actual medical degree, but also gets you. ZocDoc is a free app where you can find amazing doctors and book appointments online. We're talking about booking appointments with thousands of top-rated patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat almost any condition you're searching for. Go to ZocDoc.com/dumb, D-U-M-B, and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/dumb, ZocDoc.com/dumb, D-U-M-B. What did
That
you go out there for?
I went there for work. I did this
Okay.
this docu-series about car culture throughout the world.
Oh, sick.
And one of the stops was Korea. And Korea does not have a car history, really, but then exploring it, a car history that is recognized within other parts of the world, right? It's usually, America, Japan, and Germany, right? But Korea, you don't go, hey, car community or, car meets or,
Yeah.
racing history. You don't think of Korea, right?
Yeah.
But the Hyundai has, especially the Hyundai Pony has like serious car history.
Mm.
There's no Back to the Future without Hyundai. Did you know that?
The movie?
The Back to the Future car, the DeLorean,
DeLorean, yeah.
was designed by the same guy who designed the first Hyundai consumer car, the Hyundai Pony.
I didn't know that, and that's
Yeah.
pretty dope. I wonder if Bobby
Jojoria.
Hundreds knows that because he's a huge DeLorean fan. I think he owned
Yeah,
one
I'm
at
sure
one point.
if he is a DeLorean fan, he should know.
Yeah.
So Jojoria, the guy who designed the DeLorean, designed the concept car for the Hyundai Pony,
Wow.
and it looks just like the DeLorean. And now they have this Hyundai N74 hydrogen car that looks like the DeLorean, right?
That's
And I got to drive that in Korea.
Yeah.
And starting with the cars, right? Starting with the cars, like I went there with this kind of prejudice of like what car culture is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even in Tokyo Drift, I make fun of the Hyundai. Like there's a line where I'm like to the lead actor, you think I'm gonna let you drive in Hyundai? And I give him keys to like a Mitsubishi, right?
Yeah.
And I went there but with no expectations. You know, no one's paying me to go there to speak on behalf of any Korean car brand. And I feel like with cars, I want to always keep it very like, authentic as well, right? Um, and I drove the N74 hydrogen concept car, which is awesome. But then I drove their N series. They have this Ionic 5 all electric car, and it blew my mind, man. It converted me to what the future of EV was going to be. And then as a car enthusiast, they thought of everything that I would ever hope for in a car to begin with. But
Yeah.
then you add the electric car. It's like 600 plus horsepower. There's a drift mode. There's like real sound. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fake sound, but it's sound to emulate like what a naturally aspirated car would
That's
sound
crazy.
like. And it just drives like it's so fun,
Yeah.
right? And it's beautiful. And so automatically I'm going, something that I'm passionate about cars in the homeland, they are like pushing the needle forward,
Mm.
right? They are going to revolutionize what electric consumer cars are going to be for the true car enthusiast.
Yeah.
Not the guy who just wants to take the car to work and home, right? Or home to work. The guy who wants to go on a weekend drive in the canyons and go to car meets and personalize their cars. It's like, dude, Korea's like way ahead of everybody. And I was like so proud.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, wow, this little country is like, like in the forefront of pop culture, like K-pop, music, cinema, right? And now within like the automobile industry, they're like, they've leveled up.
That's amazing.
And I was able to leave Korea like going, I am so proud, dude,
Yeah.
of like being Korean, of a person of Korean descent. It was the first time I ever felt like I'll never have to ever make excuses for being Korean again.
And
know?
now you could rep on the car side and have the pride in that department.
Yeah.
As a representative of the car culture as well. That brings up a good question though, because you're talking about the evolution of vehicles right now going into electric and all that. Like, what does that mean for a lot of enthusiasts that follow the Fast and Furious franchise with the vehicles in the movie? Do you sense like a lot of like nostalgia elements when they look at the cars there, or like the muscle cars, or like what is the sentiment of like electric vehicles to like car enthusiasts?
There's always going to be, the older purists, guys that are like, oh no, it has to be petrol, it has to be gas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm not going to change. But, I think people who are just like progressive thinkers, right? It's, everything has to evolve. Remember, it was like 8-track to cassette tapes to, CDs. And there was a school that were like, records. They were like, hey, I'm never going to get into CDs. That's stupid, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you want to be that dude, like you can stay there, but it's just the natural course of evolution. Everything's going to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And the definition of what a car enthusiast is going to change by generation by generation. These kids today, if they're born into a world of all electric cars, that's what they know. And if they love cars and they love speed, they're going to personalize those cars in their own way.
Yeah.
Right? If it's just like, exterior modifications or whatever it is, they're going to figure out their way to go, this is a representation of me, right? And so whatever that definition is evolving every day, right? And the people that are like, I think that are sticking around within the car industry, they're just progressive thinkers, right? They're not stuck in their ways. They can appreciate, older cars. They can, appreciate the history, and even they have maybe a couple in their garage, but they're also keeping up with the times, right? And just like everything else, I think you have to,
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you got your license? Like when you took the test and like went on a driver's test? How old were you?
15.
I was 15 too.
Yeah.
I think 15 and a half or something was like the age limit of when you can take like a permit test or something. And when you're 15 and get the license, it might be different in different times, whatever, but not calling you old,
No, I'm old. I'm like way older than you. I could be your dad.
I don't know if you could be my dad. No, I don't think you could be my dad.
I could. You're 37.
Yeah.
I could have had you when I was like 13, 14.
Then you'd be out here if you had me then. But yeah, I remember taking the test. I failed the written test about 3 times before I passed it. The driving test I passed the first time, but the written test I failed 3 times. Well, you said you got it when you're 15?
Yeah.
So you're...
We had driver's ed. I don't know if you had driver's ed.
We didn't have driver's ed. You had it in school.
Yeah. It was an option. You could take it as like a class. I think it was like a lunch class or after school class.
Yeah.
And then they basically just taught you everything for the test.
And this was in Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
So you did it and you passed the first time around?
Well, I cheated too.
You cheated? How did you cheat?
Yeah, because they had the answers like at the counter
for the written test.
Yeah.
They just try to get the
back
test.
then there were no computer. They didn't care, man. It's like, they checked your eyes. Can you see?
Yeah.
Right. And then you do the lame little driving test and and there were like answers that I didn't know. And I just walk up to the counter. It was under like glass.
Yeah.
And it was like Scantron, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
or multiple choice, right?
Yeah.
So.
And you were driving your parents' car or what?
I didn't have a car in college. I mean, in high school.
You didn't have a car?
No, they never let me drive, man. It's like, they gave somebody, I got a car on my 16th birthday. It was like the family hand-me-down. It was like a Dodge Monaco, like light blue, big old whale of a car. The parents never drove it. It was like the family car that we had from the 80s. And it was just in front of the house, right? Just riding away. And so this was the car that was going to be my car. And at 16, I super excited. My friends came over, and we like washed the car, got it all ready. I was like, we're going to go for a cruise, man. And I got my driver's license and I went to my dad and I was like, all right, I'm 16. And he's like, congratulations, that is your car. And I'm like, great. I go, can I get the keys? And he goes, do you have insurance? And I go, what's that? Like, what does that mean? He's like, well, you got to be insured, son. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? And he's like, well, I think it was like $60 or $80, right? You have to pay to get me on the insurance. He goes, where are you going to get that money? And I'm like, I don't have that kind of money. He's like, well, you need to get a job.
He just like set you up for everything else in life through the car.
And then I could never really come up with the money. So he sold it. And then some dude, I remember, was driving it around the neighborhood, just like rubbing salt into
like a slap to the face.
But all my friends drove. So they would pick me up and then, we'd be working on their cars and, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview or something. You were saying that the franchise kind of reignited your love for cars, but you weren't necessarily going into the franchise as like a gearhead. Like...
No. I had a love affair for the like the concept of restoration, like old cars, because I had a neighbor, this old Korean war vet. I had no kids, and he would let me hang out in the garage with him, and he would teach me the process of restoring this 63 Impala, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you make it like factory correct? Where do you order the parts? And, he was like that grandfather that you always wanted, right? And he would just let me hang out with him. So I was like, that's pretty awesome. And then that feeling in an old garage with cigarettes and, and oil and old Beach Boy like songs playing on the radio. It feels like church. If there's it's a real comfortable environment. So I do well in old dampy garages, right? Because of that nostalgia.
Yeah.
But in my house, no, we didn't have anything like that, right? So, and then, going into acting, I don't think people understand like how poor you are.
Right.
I had like 30 jobs, man. You know what I mean? Just trying to eat. And then, I work in the evening and then, or I take classes in the evening, you work day shift or you work a night shift and then if you're lucky to get an audition, right? You got to get there, you got to prep and stuff. And so the, idea of having a hobby that actually costs some money, it's like, come on, it's impossible.
It is crazy to think because like if you looked at your filmography, people will recognize all these movies and TV shows that are hit TV shows and movies, but they won't realize like how little you would get paid as a feature actor in a thing. You know what I mean?
Even with Fast.
Yeah. Or like Fast.
Dude,
you have to build up to it, right?
I was still working at a restaurant when Fast Tokyo Drift came out.
Wow.
Right? Like, I think I brought home like fast for Tokyo Drift, probably like maybe 20 grand, maybe like net,
Yeah.
right? Maybe.
Just all together.
Yeah, right. And that was a lot of money for me. I was
Yeah.
like, what? And this is like in my 30s. I was like 30, 31 when I shot Tokyo Drift. So that was like probably that was the biggest payday I ever got in my life. To have like 20 grand or whatever in like my hand all at once. Like you're like, what?
Yeah.
Right. But then I was still actually like I still had to hustle. I had to still go and do like a day job.
There's
right?
like a weird high though. Like you can be broke and go home to a shitty apartment, but being part of something grand like that might have a billboard or something, you just feel like a king. I'll have that same feeling like back in the day when I was freestyling on the streets or battle rapping. I was just killing it out there, you know? And I'd come home to a shitty studio apartment and I'd lay in bed, with a pillow behind me, and I'd be like, all in a day's work. And I just literally came home broker than I was when I left to do the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for some reason, I felt rich. You feel rich in the thing that you care about doing.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It wasn't about the money. Like, I mean, that felt like a lot of money, but I didn't care. Like I never, I never started acting with part of the, equation being like, oh, it's going to make me a rich person. Right. Like, cause I understood it's probably better to go and do these other things because it took me so long to actually make a living as an actor. I saw so many people my age, buy a house, have health insurance, like to be able to like buy actually like a new suit.
Yeah.
Right. Like, to go on vacation. Like where are you going? Like, I'm going on vacation. Like,
yeah.
How do you do that? To have health insurance, all these things. It's like, so I knew that there was other things I could do to actually go and probably make a lot of money, right? But something just kept me going. Maybe it was the Han. It's like I gotta do this. I can't leave this earth without leaving a mark.
Yeah.
Somehow, and I don't know how to do it other than be an actor. And it was just, and it's all just throwing it in the wind. There's no formula for it. There's like, I don't think I can say like, oh, it was that person that mentored me.
Yeah.
Like I had a great acting teacher, Sal Romeo, who, taught me and Jason Scott Lee and Dustin Nguyen. And he created this, little theater company, in Los Feliz. And he would, teach us for free and stuff, and it was like a conservatory and let us go do theater and fall on our face. But for the acting, he would be like, the process or the technique of acting, learning method and Meisner and, Stanislavski system. Sure, he was the mentor, he was the guru, right? But in terms of how to navigate Hollywood, I don't know about you, but like, there was definitely no book or no place I could go to and go, hey, Young,
of course,
what do I do? Like, how do I get an agent? Like, how do I stay hopeful?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why when I see, shows like Beef, I'm like, dude, if Beef was around when I was starting out, at least I could watch it and go, you can hope, and there's you can touch it. Then you see Steve, getting his Emmy and Golden Globe. You can go, hey, that guy looks like me.
Right. Well,
right? You know what I mean?
This is actually a good question because I can understand a young Asian kid right now wanting to go into acting, right?
Sure.
But when I think about you or people of that generation, even like Bobby Lee going into stand-up and things like that, like what was the thing? Because you're already on your path to becoming a lawyer. I'm wondering, just like, I'm trying to put my head in your head, like as someone who's trying to be a lawyer, and you're like, no, I want to be an actor. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Well, the idea of being an entertainer came when I was a little kid. I remember I went to the pier in San Francisco as a little boy. My parents just took me up there with some like family friends that lived at the Presidio. There was like an army base up there.
Yeah.
And then they took me to the pier to go get like clam chowder soup and stuff. And there was this mime. And this dude was like, and they go, just wait here. We're going to go get the soup. And then I remember probably was like, 10 to 12 or something like that. And I was just sitting there And this dude, like, I don't know, I haven't seen a mime lately, but this guy was like full on mime, like,
Street performer.
yeah, Marceau type of dude,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And he's just doing his thing, and he evoked like sadness and laughter, and there was like a story he was telling, and I was just like amazed that a person, another human being with no words,
Yeah.
could evoke emotion. And I was like, and I'm just like, I probably had like, ADD as a kid, but I was just so focused on this guy, this person.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, where does this like superpower come from? Right. How does he do that? How
Yeah.
does he have this like courage and this bravery to just come on the street, on the sidewalk, and just do this?
So he really did make an impact on you.
Huge. Because I was like, this is a superpower.
Yeah.
To entertain, right? And what are you doing it for? It's not like, it's not on TV. It's like, what, quarters and dollar
Right.
bills and a little hat, right? But it's like, dang, man, this guy is amazing. It's like, it was to see it live, because I didn't grow up going to live theater and stuff. To see that, right? It's like, whoa, man, and then, and then you go to the movie theaters, and it's like, that was like a sanctuary for me to like watch any type of movie, right? That was the one thing that my stepfather and I did together. We didn't do much together, but he loved movies.
Yeah.
Right? So we'd go to double headers and stuff, like, there'd be like Mad Max and like 1 and 2, or there'd be like American Ninja 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
right? Like show Kasugi ninja movies.
Yeah.
And the idea of like, being someone that entertains people was like, it was like, of course, it was like, it was like a dream, but it's not a conversation I had at the dinner table. There's nobody I knew that were entertainers in my family. We didn't have anybody like that. We didn't have any artists.
Yeah.
Everybody was in America just like, just survive.
Yeah.
There were convenience store owners and liquor store owners and gas station owners. So the idea of art or cinema or music was not that. It was go make money and go to church, right?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it, right? So, but I knew as a kid, like when I would be getting jumped, right, and being called all of these like, like derogatory Asian names, I was like, I don't want to go out like this. I can't go out like this. I can't go out as some stereotype, and I don't know what I'm going to do for my future. Like how is it going to satiate this like fire, this Han, to like leave a mark, to have a voice, right?
I liked what you said about that. Like, I can't go out like this. I feel kind of, I could really relate to that feeling I feel at the time, and knowing like what I could do about it. It's like, I guess if you're a young Asian fighter or a boxer, a martial artist, like that could be your thing, For me, it was like words, right? So I'm like, I can go out like this. I can clown back.
Yeah.
And I really related to what you said right there. Like, I can't go out like this. I got to end up in the top, or I got to at least say my piece. You know what I mean?
That's right.
This episode is brought to you by Jackrabbit Bike. I just got sent one of these e-bikes, and it is the coolest e-bike I have ever owned, and I've probably been through about 4. I've never really fell in love with e-bikes, but this one is so light. It reminds me of a BMX bike. I've been cruising all around Koreatown in one of these. I could pick it up with one hand, and they come in 2 models. The Jackrabbit OG, which has 10-mile range, 20 miles per hour, and also the Jackrabbit XG, which is the one I own, 20 miles range and 20 miles per hour. This thing is really cool. It's just sleek. It doesn't look bulky. It just like looks like a cool BMX bike, and I highly recommend it if you're in the market for a nice e-bike that fits in the back of your car, easy to lug around, literally can pick it up with one hand. That's the biggest thing for me, is that it's ultra light. That's a huge thing about e-bikes that I was turned off by. They're too heavy. This one is perfect size, so I highly recommend it. Go check out jackrabbit.bike or check out their Instagram, jackrabbit.bike. And surprise to all our Fun with Dumb listeners, we are giving away a customized Fun with Dumb Jackrabbit e-bike on our social. So follow us at Fun with Dumb. That's at Fun with Dumb for your chance to own your own Jackrabbit e-bike. You went to college in Southern California, right? UC Riverside? And then you stayed out here in LA and you were just pursuing, like, what did that struggling actor life look like? You were working somewhere in daytime and you do auditions.
Well, so to give you the history of how it like like it was like the tipping point to go, kid, go full steam ahead. Like don't just like have your toes in it.
Yeah.
Was I was working one summer at it was probably like senior year. It was like senior or junior year, and I had a KSA brother, KSA, Korean Student Association at the colleges and stuff, and he was Japanese American of all things, right? And he was the only one that would be my, like in the KSA you had like a hyung, like a mentor, and they had to kind of pick you, or like you would request and they have to, it has to match up, right?
Yeah.
And he was the only dude that would that said yes to me. And he was this Japanese American guy,
That's so funny,
right?
the KSA.
Didn't speak one word of Korean,
yeah.
but he was not Korean,
Yeah.
right? But he was the perfect match for me because he loved everything TV and movies.
Okay.
It was like a Wikipedia of anything that was on
Cinephile,
TV. And just loved like soundtracks. And I could go, hey, so who did the soundtrack for, Star Trek, like the movie, like the first one and the second one? And he would know. He would actually have a cassette tape of it. And he was the type of guy that would be listening to that in his car. First Asian American dude I ever met that nerded out like that. Right? I was like, usually you get into a dude's car and they have some Alpine system and they're just pumping bass. That was like what they would nerd out. But he nerded out on everything that was on TV. That was like from 70s, 80s, and 90s. And he was a huge Trekkie. It was the first Trekkie I ever met too.
Yeah.
Right? And he knew the Universal Studios tour monologue by heart.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, so we would be driving and he would just start reciting, and I was like, and then I would, and he was the first like Asian, like American, like dude that I could just be totally open with and go, hey man, I really have this dream to be an entertainer. Like I would love to be a movie actor, but how is that even possible? And he got me a job. His godfather, Kubota-san, worked at this, was the manager foreman at this export-import company in the Bay called Nippon Express. And they had a home moving department where Japanese business families would like move to the Bay or like leave. And so they would hire, college kids that were Asian that were comfortable taking off their shoes, and we would go pack all their stuff. Very Japanese, right?
Yeah.
And so we would get these like summer and winter jobs through Kubota-san because of Royce Yaka, my older brother. And I was staying at his place. His dad was the dopest dude. Like his dad was a former jockey for Lucille Ball, horse jockey. Yeah. And just like this man's man, but little guy, but like just tough ass dude, right? Yeah. And Royce would just like expose me to all of like, the TV like history, like who are the writers, like who did the soundtracks, who are the producers. And he just was this Wikipedia. He didn't want to be an actor or even go into Hollywood. It's this thing that he nerded out on, right? And then one day he's like, hey, I want to take you to go watch this movie. And it's like, well, let's go to this matinee at the Kabuki Theater in Little Japan in San Francisco. And he goes, I think you should really like try to be an actor. Right. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know anybody, man. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and I was doing theater since I was a little kid and taking all the acting classes that I could. But, it wasn't serious. Like, it's like, that's to go, I'm going to be a professional actor. It's like the switch.
And
right?
you hadn't made that.
No. I was like, no way. It was just like a dream. It's like saying, hey, one day I'm going to be a astronaut. Right. It's like, yeah, right. Right. And, he takes me to watch this movie, matinee. We're the only ones in the theater, called Map of the Human Heart. And it's a French film with this Asian American actor, Jason Scott Lee, who's from Hawaii. Jason is probably like, I think, a decade older than me, right? I would say he's from the generation of Dustin Nguyen from 21 Jump Street and Russell Wong, right? And so they were like the older brothers, right? And I had never seen this actor before, but he's speaking English. It's a romantic, like leading, male. He's not doing kung fu. There's nothing like, like stereotypical about it or, derogatory. There's nothing, ching-chongy about it, right? I was, he's like, look, man, maybe the world is changing. It's like there's opportunities for guys like him. And he knew, like, for some reason, everything about Jason Scott Lee. This is pre-internet. So he's like, this guy's from Hawaii, it's like, and he lives in LA. It's like, you should go find him. And I was like, I'm going to go find him. So I just hunted Jason down.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, if he can do it, finally I saw my face on screen.
Yeah.
Right? With something that I want to do. Like, look, I think Jackie Chan's and Jet Li's are amazing because they're masters of their craft, but I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right? That was not something, because you already have Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan,
Right,
Jenny.
right.
They don't need me to be, the fourth dude in line.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt like I had something unique to offer, right? And I was like, but then I finally saw somebody that I go, if I could find him, I could ask him questions.
Yeah.
Because he's doing exactly what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So I hunted him down for years.
That's crazy.
Came down. I was like working all these jobs.
Yeah.
Like taking these like janky like acting classes, just and doing this and that. Could never get my footing. And then I was like, I was working some day shift at some restaurant, and the cashier was Korean, and this is when they had cashiers, not like computers where the waiters did all that. It was like literally a cashier,
Yeah.
right? And she goes, "Hey, come over here, son." She's like, and she was reading like the Korea Times. That's right, like the Korean newspaper, and in the classified there was an ad for background actors for this Cencom security commercial from Korea starring Columbo, Peter Falk. And they needed like tall, like Korean men to come in and be background actors.
And it's in the Korean newspaper.
In the Korean
They're
newspaper.
trying to find people like that. That's
and
crazy.
they're paying like $100 a day.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, and she's like, go do that. You can meet Columbo. Columbo is like big in Korea.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you get to like ask like a professional actor like what to do, right? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So she called for me. And this guy, Steve Kim, Korean American dude, picks up the phone. He was a production manager. He goes, yeah, come here, come to this place, and we're gonna shoot this commercial. So I go there, shoot the commercial. I never got to meet Peter Falk, but Steve Kim, this guy, grew up in Santa Monica, right? Same age as me, Korean American, can't speak a lick of Korean. He goes, hey, dude, so what do you want to like do? And I'm like, dude, I want to be an actor. And he goes, yeah, me too. He goes, so tomorrow I'm going to go meet this teacher, Italian guy named Sal Romeo at this place called Friends and Artists in Los Feliz. And he's the teacher for Jason Scott Lee. And I was like, what? I was like, you who? He's like, Jason Scott Lee. And he's like, this guy, he was in the Dragon movie and the Bruce Lee biopic and this movie called Map of the Human Heart. And I was like, yo, man, I've been looking for this dude. Like, you got to take me. Please, you got to take me. He goes, well, it's kind of like an appointment I have. I go, dude, I'm begging you, please take me. So I go with him the next day to go meet Sal. And I'm begging Sal, right? I feel like push Steve out the way. I'm like, how do I be a part of your theater company? How do I take class with you? Because I'm like, this is my like road to get to Jason Scully. If this guy taught Jason, then I'm at the right place.
Yeah.
So I studied with Sal for probably like 10 years. It was like 7 days a week. I couldn't afford his classes, right? So he would let me work lights in the theater, like wash his car, take care of the studio, and then work behind because he also like did audition coaching. Yeah. So he would, need a reader.
What year was this?
This was 94, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So throughout the 90s. Yeah.
And then there was a used bookstore around the corner that he was really good friends with called Aldine's Bookstore. And they had a theater section with every book about acting, right? And the owner, if you were a student of Sal's, he would let me, like for $20, take a box of books. So Sal was like, read this, read this, read this. And so he was like my education of what, the method or the process or the technique of acting is. And I got to see like some of the most amazing actors ever. And they also taught me that just because you're this gifted, amazing actor or actress doesn't mean that Hollywood is gonna make you into a star.
Mm.
Because I saw people, and I would ask Sal, I go, Sal, like Michelle just did this scene from Shakespeare, and I'm never gonna be able to do that. Like, I don't even know how she did that.
Yeah.
Like, she's off book. Like, it's like she just read it, and she's like, that's like some prodigy. Like, I don't know how to do that. And this woman is like never worked.
That's crazy.
Right. And you're like,
Yeah.
and so it taught me, it's like, hey, there's a whole bunch of factors.
Yeah.
Right. And then Jason started, like, he would come and visit, and Dustin, the Wen, would be there. So
Yeah.
I got to see like these older brothers at least like go, hey, they're here and they made it. Right. We weren't close. Right. I was closer to Dustin. Dustin was living in LA, so I could approach him more.
During this time in the 90s, you're going out to auditions as well, right?
Maybe like one every 3 months.
Every 3 months?
One every 6 months.
What does it look like in there? Like in the waiting room of the audition, do you have people you would run into that regularly? Is there any like Asian actor in particular that you've been friends with since then, or you've seen during that time?
Well, everybody from Better Luck Tomorrow, if you guys remember that movie.
Yeah.
Every single one of those actors.
You'd run into them.
We'd be at the same audition.
Wow.
And like, we're all so different.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, John Cho was there. It's like, he had started like actually, his career started moving way ahead of everybody else's, because I think he did American Pie, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He was considered like, oh, he's a working actor. He's in these big movies. And everybody else is just like, it's like you're just hoping. Really, it was like literally just hoping. Yeah. And then, you would see, I would run into like a Russell Wong once in a while, and you're like, that's a movie star.
Yeah.
And if you saw them at the same audition, you're just like your stomach just drops, because you're like, what the hell am I doing here?
Who are the Asian movie stars then? It was like Russell Wong. You had like Lucy Liu. Would she was already kind of working at that time, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Lucy, I never met her.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put my mind in like an Asian American person at that time, like who I would have been considered like Asian movie stars,
Yeah, so it would have been Russell Wong.
Yeah.
Right? But I was like, I'm not half white though, so I'm never going to be Russell Wong.
Hapa, right?
Right? Yeah. I'm like, dang it. Right? Jason Scott Lee was probably, I would say at that time, like true bona fide like Asian American like movie star, right? Because when he came out in Dragon, the Bruce Lee biopic, directed by Rob Cohen, who directed the first Fast.
I still love that biopic.
Yeah, and they did Jungle Book, so it was like he was number one on the call sheet. He's the lead of these movies.
Yep.
Right, and I think Dragon made money. So movie star is basically someone that's leading a movie, and they make the budget plus a percentage. That's the movie star, right? So. Was he able to do it? I think for some and some not, and so I always looked at Jason going, he is the only Asian American movie star. Like Jet Li's came in and they were doing a whole bunch of films, right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't identify with them. You know what I mean? And it's like Jason. And then when you met him, you're like, he's a brother from Hawaii. So he's like so chill and mellow, right? And you're like, you see yourself in him.
Yeah.
And so I would say he was the only dude that I could go, at least he made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even in those sketches with like Bobby, the Korean drama sketches, that seems so early to do a Korean drama sketch.
That's why no one got it. No one understood what the heck we were
doing.
No
one got it.
Yeah, that's why we were able to even do all that.
Well, how did that all come about, and what was the reception? Like you just said, no one really got it. But what were they like laughing at? Was it just the weirdness of it all then, or what do you think? I mean,
well, that is one of those things with Bobby. It's like, I think that's why Bobby always feels like like a real like family member, because we're the same age and we've been in this kind of around the same time,
right?
And anytime I have an opportunity, I try to like suggest or cast Bobby in any project I do.
Really?
Yeah, like literally first movie I ever produced, I was like, we got to use Bobby. First like TV pilot I ever shot, we have to use Bobby. And I just love having Bobby around, because there's this it's this fun like really, at least back then, this really wonderful, innocent like energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys are literally peers.
Yeah.
Like,
And
came
it
up.
was like having a cousin like on set.
Yeah.
Right. And it was this unsaid understanding of what we're going through, but it was also this like, for me, it was like this natural thing. If I can help him, right, I'm gonna help him. And I think, Mad TV thing was vice versa. It's like, hey, there's an opportunity to like do something. And then we just went and did it. There was no like, oh yeah, if we there's this future. It's like I looked at it as like, hey, it's like your cousin calling you. It's like, hey man, you can make a few bucks. I'm on this TV show. I have the ability to bring somebody and recommend.
Yeah.
And then we can just kind of come and play,
Yeah.
right? And when you trust each other, you just go and do nonsense, right? And you're able to take these, like, I guess, these risks. And that was it. I think
Yeah.
that was it. And when I watch it now, I'm like, you're right. It looks so dated, but it was this innocence to it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's like, why'd you do that? It's like, because Bobby called, right?
Yeah.
And that was it.
I mean, I think it's kind of cool that you guys did like a K-drama spoof at such
Yeah.
an early time where now K-dramas, everyone knows the gist of
yeah.
how it goes. You have the melodramatic moments, someone who's sick and all that, but like you're playing up to those things in a sketch like at that time.
Yeah.
As a viewer, I don't know, I'd be like, what the fuck if you weren't familiar with Korean dramas,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's amazing. Also, like I came across a thing, you were in a K-pop music video.
Yeah. Yeah.
G.O.D.
Yeah.
This was before Fast and Furious?
Yeah. Way before. I was living down the street.
In K-Town?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys are shooting around LA.
Yeah.
And like someone just casted you for this
No.
music-
It's also, someone doesn't just, people think like you just get cast in something.
Yeah.
Like, people think like even with Fast, it's like, oh, they just cast you. It doesn't work. You came
Yeah.
from Better Luck Tomorrow, man. We did a little
Right.
independent, right?
There's little connections
Yeah.
that get you more
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that's happened for me too.
Yeah. It's a constant hustle. Even that video. So I had produced this little short,
Yeah.
right? When emails and the internets first started happening, right? There was this company called Adams Films, and they had a contest to win $100,000, and you get to use Panavision like cameras to shoot a short.
Mm-hmm.
You win $100,000, and the way you won is getting email votes,
Okay.
right? And so me and the director, basically, because every Asian person was like in the forefront of emails,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
funny.
we worked it out where we won this money.
Wow.
So we won $100,000. So it was this guy, Richard Kim. He had just graduated from USC. And I was always like at USC, UCLA, and AFI looking for like future like Asian American directors.
Yeah.
Like I would just be there putting my headshot in the boxes and like just, like just pinning it in the board and stuff. And you could do that back in that was what you had to do. That was the
Street
hustle, right?
team
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And so I'd show up to like, the graduate program. Hey, I'm an actor. So if you guys doing like your thesis project, I'm available. And then, so that's how I met Richard, right? And he was taking some class, like 3-camera TV class at USC, and they needed actors. So that's how he and I linked up. And I was the actor in his class, right? For his project. And so he had graduated and he's like, I want to be a film director, man. And, it's like, but how do I, go to the next level? We found this contest, Adam Films. We won the money. And so it was we won it. And we did, there was this little short that he wrote called Talk to Taka. And it was about a sushi man that gave advice. And so we hunted down, Mr. Miyagi, damn, what's his name?
Pat
Morita.
Pat Morita, yeah.
And so when I met Pat Morita, begged him to be in this. He offered, to be in it. And then we somehow like got to Mako, who was another like, Japanese American like actor. He was actually nominated for Oscar for this Steve McQueen movie called Sand Pebbles. And so both of them were willing to like be in this little short.
Yeah.
And that was shot in like downtown LA at Little Tokyo in a closed down sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
And so we made this movie, right? And in that movie, we needed a crew, obviously. So our camera department was from AFI. And there was a producer and who was Korean American. I mean, it was Korean, and then the cinematographer was Korean, and he was studying at FI, so they were part of our camera team.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so fast forward, they moved back to Korea, and they are producing, commercials and music videos, and then they were coming to America with this unknown band called God
Yep.
to shoot this music video called Lies, 거짓말, right? And so they need talent to do the story. So they call me and they're like, "Hey, son, can you be in this music video?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Nah, man, are you out of your mind? Like, you're crazy, dude. I'm not. People are gonna see me at the norebang when they sing. I go, I'm not gonna do that, dude."
That's funny.
And they're like, "Come on,"
Because
like,
they would actually, yeah.
and it is,
would pop up.
and it is,
That's
right?
funny.
And so, but they're like my friends.
Well,
know what I
God
mean?
is an OG legendary
But who
K-pop
knew?
group now.
Because I was like, "Yo, so what is this band?" It's like Gio goes, "This is like a religious band." Like,
yeah, right.
I don't get it.
That is a bold name,
Yeah,
God.
right. And I'm like, what am I gonna be doing? It's like there's a storyline, It's like, so you'd be the actor in it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Like, dude, it's like, and it's like, there's no money. Like,
Right.
you got to just
Right.
show up, right? And I'm like, I don't know about all that.
Mm.
And he kept calling me, and then I remember I was like, okay, and then I just kind of ignored it. And if you look at that video, my hair looks like I have like K-pop hair.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the reason is because I was asleep. So that's full bedhead. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like this. And then called me, there's just like, "Please." And I was like, "All right, man." So I drive downtown and we shoot the video.
Yeah.
And then it became God.
I think, yeah, a lot of K-pop videos at the time, it was just limited resources. Really, the whole production value of it all is like a Korean group in America, and America is the backdrop. And they're just like, how do we make this something?
Yeah.
So they're probably like, I know one Korean actor in my
Yeah.
network.
Yeah.
Let's hit him up. And
Yeah.
you showed up.
And he'll do it for nothing.
That's so funny.
Right.
That's the story. The story is
Yeah.
just like, they just really needed somebody.
Yeah. And then I think it was a year later or so, like everybody from Korea is calling me. Anyone I knew, like my relatives,
Yeah.
and they're like, "You're all over the place." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, you did a music video called 거짓말." I go, "I don't know what the song is." And it's like, it was like everywhere. And then they became like huge.
Yeah.
Right. I just actually saw June
Yeah.
in Korea. He's doing great. And, we were like reminiscing about all of that and stuff. So, yeah, it wasn't like, there's no casting.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever got a job from casting. Like I probably went out to thousands of auditions and
Yeah.
it never worked out like that.
Wh- I mean, when you jumped into Fast and the Furious, you don't know you're about to jump into this long, 10 plus years commit. Well, how many years has it been now? Like
25 years.
has it been 25?
Well, since the first one.
Since the first one. So around 20 years of a commitment for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Besides the money part, like what is this huge perk you see in being in this like long lasting franchise? And would you pretty much want to be down for it for another 20 years?
What money part? What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm sure that's gotten better than your.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I see.
But
what you're saying.
overall, it's like, is this something that you would do for another 20 years?
The franchise?
Mhm.
If you asked me this question, 5 years ago, right? I would say, nah, no way.
Really, 5
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah.
What happened 5 years ago?
Well, I think if 5 years ago, or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, there was this, maybe like I had a certain like prejudice against my own like franchise, going, I can't be in this like car movie and be known for Han for the rest of my life. I don't know if I want to do that.
It's fair for anyone
right?
in anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want to do other things, right? And as I get older and as I've been living in this franchise longer, and the more I travel like outside of my little like bubble, right? You realize like the impact of the franchise and then that character,
Mm.
right? And it's something that I can't like just dismiss and go, yeah, it's just this frivolous like dude that's snacking in some popcorn movie.
It becomes like bigger than you.
It's way bigger
Yeah,
than
yeah,
me. And
yeah.
also it's like you go, well, how is that? What am I doing to contribute to humanity as Sung, right? And it's like, well, this I get to play this guy Han that now, right, people of all colors are embracing as one of their own.
Yeah.
Before it was like, hey, if someone referred to a Asian character from a movie, it's like, yo, man, what you think? You like Jackie Chan? That's loaded. It's kind of derogatory underneath the
Right.
subtext, right? But then Han doesn't have any of that,
Which is really cool.
right?
Yeah.
And I'll share like context is like where it really like someone else had to explain this to me, right? It's like I was in Tampa, Florida. So that's the South, man, you know, and I was at this baseball game for the Rays, and you know I'm walking to the seat, and you know kids are coming up asking me to sign their baseball and take pictures and
Mhm.
stuff, and there was um a a Asian American director from New York, like that was at the same film festival, and he was there with his wife, and he was clocking these two good old boys, right, like staring at me. And he said that initially, you know, their reaction wasn't positive.
Mm.
It was almost typical of what you would think a good old boy. But they were watching me, like, you know, talk to people and, you know, take pictures with people, just doing my thing, like being appreciative of like, hey man, like if I'm out in the public, I know a part of the job description is like you stop, you ask people their names, you take their picture, you give them the pictures, you sign what they want to, you know, and then you move on, right?
Yeah.
Or just if you don't want to do that, just don't go outside, right? And um and then they were watching that and they were like, fuck it. Like, I love Han. And then they came up to me, asked for a picture.
I love
right?
Han.
Right?
I love Han.
Right? And at dinner, he was saying, dude, you know the impact that this character has throughout the world is that it breaks down this, like, you know, this wall that people have of
Mm.
like unfamiliar faces. But because they see you in the movies and they love what Han represents, they're like their racism or whatever they have in their head is secondary, and they go and get the picture, and then you are just this ambassador, right?
That's amazing, man. I love that what you said. It just transcends just the Asian bubble of things, because I had that conversation with Bobby recently, right? I was like, Bobby, like they should be honoring you at like Unforgettable Gala or whatever, you know? And he's like, I don't need the acknowledgement of just the Asian community. My brand expands way beyond that. And it's true. People who listen to his podcast, Tiger Belly, follow him as a comic, like it has nothing to do with just like an Asian fan base.
Yeah.
It transcends that. And the same thing with your character. And that's really something special. I think if you're a person of color who gets a project that transcends all those racial boundaries, it's like it's once in a lifetime.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's like if I have the opportunity to, you know, put on those shoes and be able to be an ambassador and help and contribute through a character that you get to play. And you know, these movies are fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are big old budget, like, you know, car movies. So I get to be around cars, I get to be around people that I've worked with for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
And after 20 years, you know, it's like, you know, it's a dysfunctional family, but they're your family, right? And it's like it's just wonderful because it's a reunion, you know, and you get older and people get smarter and they're wiser and they calm down, right? And so what's wrong with it?
And it's
You know?
more than rare to be part of a successful franchise that doesn't have a history of coming from comic books or things like that.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that top 10 franchise list, and like 6 of the 10 are occupied by like Marvel and DC, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I you know, it's interesting too. I was just thinking about this. This is just a thought of with Tyrese, how he executive produced the K-Town reality show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any like connection with you in that and him doing that project?
No.
Because
I don't even know what that was about. I think it was on this, there was that trend of those like shows that
Jersey Shore.
yeah, right?
Yeah, but it's like, for those who aren't familiar, there was a reality show. It only premiered on YouTube, but it was the early 2000s, and it was based around some K-Town cast members, just the K-Town locals that are love partying and the nightlife.
Yeah.
And Tyrese got attached to the project as executive producer. He like really championed it, was there for the auditions and casting and everything. And now that I'm sitting here with you, I just thought like, was Sung involved in this in any way?
No, not at all. I had nothing. I think I didn't even know about it until he did this like little YouTube video thing called the Car Discussion that I did.
That's
right?
what it was brought up then, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you guys were joking around about
Yeah.
like K-Town not knowing what
He was
K-Town.
trying to promote it on that thing.
Oh, he
And I
was.
was like, what are you? I don't even.
And you didn't even know about
Yeah,
this
I was like,
project.
what is this thing you're doing? And then he did show me like a sizzle of it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah,
like-
what were your thoughts of it initially?
he's like, can you support this? And I go, no, I can't, man. You can, but I'm not gonna do that.
Because you
Like,
were familiar with K-Town, obviously, at the time.
Sure,
you know
sure, yeah.
people in K-Town,
Sure,
you know
sure.
PK, you know Pedro, all these people.
Sure.
And you're seeing this, which is like essentially like a Jersey Shore
Yeah.
K-Town.
Nah, I was like, because the people, this show, whoever's in it might regret later that they were in the show.
Right.
Like, I was like, I don't know the show. I wasn't part of development. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, I hope it represents the community in a positive way,
Right.
but it possibly, it's 50-50. So
It is
I, like,
50-50.
I don't know if I can do that. You know what
It's true. It is
Yeah, yeah.
50-50. It's not
Yeah.
100% negative. There's
Yeah.
still representation involved,
Yeah.
positive or not. But yeah, that's interesting. We're going to do some fun stuff too on top of all the serious convos we've been having. So I did this thing where I printed out pictures of different vehicles.
Uh-huh.
And as descriptive as you can be, I want you to name the type of person that would drive this car.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go. First, this is a classic vehicle. I think I semi-owned this at one point. It's the Nissan Sentra.
Nissan Sentra. Who would own this today or when it came out new?
What's the first thought in any era, I guess, that comes to mind?
This would be like econ student at a UC.
That's pretty on point. I like that. Econs. I mean, that was pretty specific. You said a major.
UC Santa Barbara.
You see Santa Barbara? Yeah. Maybe it has some empty cans in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
No empty cans. And goes to KCF.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dodge Challenger Demon.
Either they stole that car, right? So it's a thief that's gonna go do like a what do you call it? Those sideshows, or it's a dude in his like 40s to 50s. It's like he's crew cut or
Yeah.
losing his hair. He has a black leather jacket. Eats at Applebee's.
These are specific. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, you're killing it.
Huh?
Any Toyota Prius.
This is, I would say, anybody that went to Berkeley, is in the film business, possibly a PA or a writer.
Yeah. Gaffer.
No, not gaffer.
Not gaffer.
You gotta have a bigger car for a gaffer. Yeah,
So specific.
Yeah, yeah.
I love this.
yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
But the new Prius is pretty nice. It's
Yeah.
pretty dope. Yeah.
BMW M3.
Parents own maybe like 2 dry cleaners, 2 liquor stores.
So semi-successful,
Yeah, they're not them. They're the children of them.
Yeah.
Right, it's driving this and
Because
guy-
the immigrant kids always
Yeah.
get it twisted like
Yeah, yeah.
they're the ones struggling, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always their parents.
Yeah. But got into UCLA or Berkeley, and so this we'll just focus on UCLA. Got into UCLA, so this is their
Gift.
Their gift, right?
That's funny.
Right, and they're rolling around like just blasting the stereo with a bunch of bass and the full limo tint,
Yeah.
and then they're on their way.
This does feel like a spoiled immigrant's kid's car.
Yeah,
Porsche GT3 RS.
That's so 2 type of owners for that. It's like one is a dude that has like crazy watch collection, right? And it could be from like China,
Yeah.
right? Lives in Alhambra.
Yeah.
Isn't that the nice area?
Yeah.
right?
Super rich Chinese.
South Pass.
They might put like a Supreme sticker on the side of it when the car is worth more than Supreme, obviously. But
Are you talking about the kid? I'm talking about like the adult version.
this is the adult version of
Yeah.
owner of this.
Or a true like purist Porsche like lover, and they know that that is like the dopest Porsche to have probably currently. Because that is, I driven that. That is like an amazing car, like amazing. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's the bar of like great sports cars. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Who would own that here or in Japan? K-Truck.
Here.
Oh, here. Okay, so it's like true JDM lover. This is like a guy that loves everything, like period 80s, 90s, Japanese. Doesn't really care too much about like showing off. He's just like, he wants something unique. He's a dude that you want at your birthday party. He's somebody that, I would probably want as like a son-in-law, and just fun dude, and can talk probably about every Japanese JDM car in detail. Yeah. Suzuki Jinmi Brabus. I've never seen one of those, but that is either it has to be two types. Either it's a dude that wants a Brabus G-Wagon. Nah, if they were that, they would never buy a Suzuki. I think it's somebody that loves the Isuzu Suzuki from the past, the retro version of it, and has now some money.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just having fun and almost laughing at himself, right? That he's putting a Brabus kit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's Toyota Sienna. Well, the owner of a Toyota Sienna, probably very handsome and smart, very enlightened, very a wonderful human being, great actor, great director.
You've mentioned this is one of your favorite cars.
It is that's what I drove today.
Oh, you drove this here. You drove this here.
Yeah, it's downstairs.
And is your Toyota Sienna decked out? Is it the premium? Like
No, I have I think it's the XLE, because they're hard to get.
Are they?
Yeah, there's a platinum edition of this car, which, I mean, if you can find it, good luck to you, right?
Yeah.
But I don't, and I think even if I had a choice of what I have, I don't have like the lowest, option model. I think that's the LE, right? I have just enough,
Yeah.
right? It's not flashy, but has everything I need. I mean, Japanese cars usually come fully equipped anyway, so there's very little options you need to get. It's usually like trim package or like extra phone chargers or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the XLE and I'm super happy with it. It's like I mean, you could drive this car for probably like 500,000 to 1 million miles if you just take care of it.
It is a great minivan for sure. All right, here we go.
Japan or here? Owner is here or in Japan?
Owner is here, Veilside RX-7.
True. If the owner's in America and they have this FD Veilside kit, which the Veilside kit's about 25, and probably at the end of the day, $35,000 installed just for the kit.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so they have to have some money.
Yeah.
And also they will probably be a true Fast and Furious, specifically Tokyo Drift, like fan, to dump in America. Like, I would say the cheapest you could do that car, like actually right, is probably around 70 to 80,000. Right,
So
but to do it right, to make it look like something you want to take to a car show.
So someone who's in a very lucrative business like would own this.
Like what?
I don't know, real estate agent.
But it's a specific type of real estate agent, because a real estate agent
Selling
would have
Sunset.
a car that would help. No, it wouldn't be those.
Really?
No,
Okay.
no way. It would be somebody that, has made pretty good money doing 3D printing.
That's not specific.
No, I'm serious, right?
3D printing.
Yeah, like something
okay.
that you're like, oh, what do you sell? What do you do? There's millionaires that,
Yeah.
there's
just a thing, a patent or something. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
they're like, what do you guys? Yeah, they have a warehouse downtown and
Gotcha.
they make 3D printed signs or something like that,
or some
right?
import export.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then and the dude is just he's probably like family centric too. So he's a kid inside.
Got you.
He also probably has a collection of like the, what do you call those? The pop the heads.
What are those little pop
Yeah, the
Funkos?
right?
Whoever owns this car definitely has a collection of Pop Funkos.
And like Hot Wheel collection.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that was the most accurate thing. The Pop Funkos. This
And
guy
shoes and collect shoes
and sneakers.
He's
Yeah,
sneakerhead.
sneakers.
Yeah,
Okay, that was great. I love that. Pop Funko was my favorite part of that.
I mean,
Oh shit.
that's actually a good thing because that's really cool because you can tell a lot about a person in
And
their
their car.
life currently by their car
Mm,
or in the moment. You know, I can tell. You know, if your checkbook is all sorted out by
yeah.
just opening your glove box.
Right. Oh,
You know what I
interesting.
mean?
Interesting. What kind of car you think I drive?
Either a Prius or a Tesla.
Tesla.
There you
Tesla
go.
3. Got that. Wow, that was impressive. He does not know what car I drive too. So I don't know if I should be offended or
Why?
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
fine. Okay.
Tesla, it's like,
Reliable, you know.
and current.
Right, right.
You know, it's like it's reliable, current, right? It's like it's what, is trending,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like
Low maintenance.
and it also you can't be poor to have a Tesla. So you're doing all right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
doing all right.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Hyung.
yeah.
All right. Sung, I love you, brother. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm very inspired by you. Hopefully we can work on something eventually.
I
We've
hope
had that
so.
meeting before.
Yeah.
And
We
things
will.
are even different since then too. So a lot has changed in the industry.
It's
you
just a matter of time, Dom. No, because you have something to offer, as an artist. So I think I look forward to that time that if I get to be one of the first directors to tap into that, or other directors that are watching this, they need to cast you in something, and I wouldn't even call it like take a chance. It's like collaborate with you because you have a
Yeah.
lot to offer. You know what I mean? And
You
it's
got
like,
big director energy, man, for sure.
what's that mean?
Just,
What is
just your
big director?
demeanor. Just your demeanor has like this director energy.
Mm-mm.
You know, the way you like sit back and talk about things or very descriptive about certain things.
Mm.
It feels directorial.
Does it?
It does.
Well, that's what I plan on doing.
Okay. All right. Well, Sung, thank you so much. Tune in next week for another episode of Fun with Dumb. Peace.